Hi guys, this is Saintvicious, and I'm going to be doing the patch 8.1 patch rundown. So let's get into it. So it's actually a pretty small patch, but there's actually some major changes that happened. Not really as much with champions, but more with like masteries and things like that. So we'll look at what they did. With Brand, they doubled his passive damage. So I think for like mid lane Brand, this buff doesn't really like, it's like not that crazy big, but for support Brand, I'm looking at you Meteos. This is going to be actually a pretty good change. You know, all you have to do is like hit somebody with a random Q or an E, and just like poke them in lane. It's pretty much doubled the amount of poke damage that you can get off of this ability. So I think this will definitely be really good for support Brand. And you're gonna probably be seeing a little bit more of him. Evelyn Whiplash no longer goes on cooldown if it fails due to Evelyn losing vision of her target during its cast time. It's just a bug fix. Doesn't really do much for the champion. Still gonna be exactly the same champion IMO. Graves, they changed Dredge line. Into the line. They lowered the mana cost on it. I never really felt like Graves even really had that big of mana problems in the first place, so not that big. And then they also lowered the cooldown of the ability as well, which could, you know, speed up your jungle clear a little bit, but once again, still like not that big of a change. Smokescreen, they increased the immediate slow strength to 50%, but it only lasts a third of the duration at 0.5 seconds. So this is kind of like a buff and a nerf. Like if your goal is to just like throw down the smoke screen and just to like catch up to somebody, I think it's pretty good. But I think as for like team fight purposes, it's definitely got weakened in this regard. So I think Graves didn't really get changed that much with these changes, and I think that he's like pretty much going to be exactly the same champion as he was before. So don't really think that you're going to be seeing like that much more Graves in the jungle coming out. Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger top is something that's like played a lot. You know, Heimerdinger and all that. I can't even like begin to describe the amount of times that I've been a jungler and I've gone top and I've ganked Heimerdinger, and he like has either like killed my top laner or killed me. So you know, usually don't even gank Heimerdinger post 6, and that's just because like this beam damage is just absolutely insane. So I think that like this is gonna be kind of a nerf to this, but I think Heimerdinger's still fine. Like I know a lot of Heimerdingers, they use the evolved or the RE a lot in team fights later in the game. So I think that Heimerdinger is still going to be decent, but you're not going to be seeing a lot of those like 1v2 double kills and stuff like that going on with Heimerdinger anymore. Kayle actually had one of the highest win rates for Diamond and below for top lane, and I think that this is going to kind of tweak her numbers with that. Her attack damage growth got lowered, and her innate bonus attack speed got lowered as well. And then to kind of like tweak that a little bit, they made her E have a lower cooldown. So your E is pretty much kind of a permanent uptime if you have some CDR at max rank, so you'll be looking at having that, but you know, her attack speed and her attack damage is going to suffer a little bit, so her early game is going to be weaker as well. I don't think that these changes really do that much to Kayle. I think she's going to be mostly the same champion, but definitely like stronger uptime on her E later in the game, like pretty much permanent, and then weaker early game for sure. And then actually that's attack damage growth, so like actually just weaker overall with that. I don't really think that I still don't think this changes Kayle that much. She's like the same champion to me. Skarner, they increased his base mana. I never really felt like Skarner had that big of mana problems because, I mean, you always have like your little runes or whatever you want to call them that you can always like get mana from. I pretty much have permanent mana on Skarner when I'm like jungling him in most cases that I've seen. I mean, I used to like pretty much like one trick Skarner for like a half a season just for fun, and I really like even before and after the rework. So I think that the mana doesn't really do anything. And then the E changes, like pretty much it doesn't do much until max rank. Like yeah, the proc stun duration is longer, which is really nice. I like that a lot if you can hit it. But I think like still Eing somebody and connecting the auto attack is like, it's pretty hard in a lot of cases. It's not like you're Xin Zhao and you just like ran up, you know, you have a dash across the whole screen and you slow them, and then you have like pretty much a guaranteed knock up. And then the damage is like just about doubled, you know, but you don't really hit that until like later on. And most Skarners don't even max the E second. Like most Skarners max W second for the shield. Maybe now you'll max the E second, but I think these changes still don't really do that much with Skarner. You'll probably keep E like, I think E will still be a 1-point wonder. Because it's like this damage increase isn't really that much, and I do like the stun duration increase, but I don't know. I'll have to play Skarner a little bit and see how it feels. Like getting this 50% stun increase, that's really nice, but it's like, can you hit it? And yeah, I mean, maybe it'll help with skirmishing a lot. I think actually this will help with skirmishing a lot, but I think Skarner's going to be pretty close to the same champion. A little bit better skirmishing from this. This is a bug fix for Syndra. Zoe. Zoe's like one of the most obnoxious champions in the game. Like, there's a lot of people who are bad with her that lower her win rate. She's sort of like a LeBlanc style champion where it's like, if you're really good with her, you're insane and you'll just like 1v5 the game. And if you're bad with her, you're just gonna look awful, and you're just gonna be like, oh god, Zoe's just terrible. But that skill difference is like why the champion's so hard to balance. And I like what they kind of did where they're kind of moving more towards, instead of the skill being reliant on the Zoe player themselves, it's more reliant on the people she's facing. So like her E, like let's take for instance, like her E, Sleepy Trouble Bubble, the delay before trap is created got increased. So like this gives you a little bit more time to outplay the E before you just like randomly get nailed by it like through 2 walls and then just like die to a Q across the whole map. So it gives you a little bit more room for outplay here. And then the delay portal jump before the exit portal appears, like this is very, very insignificant, but it's probably like a quality of life change, very small change. And then Spell Thief, minions can no longer drop shards for Hextech Gunblade. I don't know if you ever played against Zoe and just randomly been like Hextech Gunbladed like while you're in the laning phase, but that's really obnoxious, and it's a good way to die randomly in lane, so I'm glad that they took this away. And this is going to lower the Paddle Star damage a lot. Now does not register Zoe's new position for purposes of Q range until she has emerged from the R portal. So this is going to make it a lot harder to get like that super big damage Q that just literally one-shots you from across like the whole screen. So like she's going to be a little bit more easy to dodge out on and to survive her damage. So I'm really glad that they tweaked Zoe. Like I thought she was insanely OP. She's like my permaban champion in solo queue. Then we have Predator. Predator channel is interrupted. 50% of the cooldown is now refunded. That's pretty nice because, I mean, there's a lot of times when you're like winding up Predator and you just get randomly hit by somebody. So that's pretty nice. And then Predator's bonus damage is procced via an area of effect ability. It will now prioritize the lowest health target. So that's pretty good for like if you're Hecarim when you charge in and you like, let's say you hit your Q or your ultimate before you actually get the damage, and then like it'll like go for the lowest health target. So that's actually pretty nice. And then Predator's rate of movement speed increased by 50% for the first, second, and half of the effect. This is unlisted tooltip because if you're making a decision around, you're probably overthinking things. So this is just gonna make the windup of Predator a little bit faster, which is kind of nice. These are like all small like quality of life changes to Predator. Because Predator's not really used on that many champions because, you know, you don't really get to use it until you have boots. And, you know, if you're playing against somebody who has like Electrocute or Dark Harvest or something like that, like let's say you're a jungler or something like that, you're probably not going to be able to out-skirmish them, and that's really important. That's one of the reasons why Predator is so overshadowed by a lot of the other abilities, because if you're a jungler, and junglers are the primary people to take Predator, you need to have your first, like, before you back, that needs to be one of your strongest. You need to be as strong as possible in that period of time in the game, because that's when you're going to be able to start snowballing and skirmishing and pushing people out. This is actually an insanely big change. It may not look like it's a big change, but so basically what happens is that before, if you took Resolve, you'd literally only get 130 health, and you wouldn't get any other stats besides the health. So it's like all fully like defensive, and then now what it'll do is like it'll give you a little bit of the other stats. So like let's take for instance I do Resolve and Precision, which is like a pretty standard jungle thing to do. Now you get 9% attack speed and 65 health, which is going to help a lot with your clear speed. Then to give an example of this, like if you look at Sejuani, basically her clear speed was so slow with Aftershock that literally nobody was going, or very few people were going Aftershock on her, because Fleet Footwork just increased your jungle clear speed so much and made you so healthy, because you know like Machete also goes hand in hand with Precision and Fleet Footwork, where you get faster attack speed to proc that there was actually no point to take Aftershock because your jungle clear was so bad that like you were just down in the early game too hard. So what this is going to do is this is going to allow a lot of like junglers and top laners. Like I know there's a lot of top laners that try to CS under turret that don't have the extra attack speed or something like that. I know not a lot of top laners take Precision that are on tanks, but this might actually like incentivize somebody to do something like that. And this is just going to help out overall. Like this, having like more attack damage or AP, well, it's just like, this is going to A, help top laners CS under turret better, and B, it's going to help junglers have much better clear speed. So this is actually, to me, this is the biggest change of the patch, because it's going to completely change up the way that people do their masteries, and I think this is like a really good change. And then they didn't really change that much else in the game besides like some bug fixes and things like that, and some honor changes. But that's pretty much it for the patch rundown. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Adios.